Welcome back to the dojo. This is a white belt lesson. I will assume you can write a class, add a method, and inherit from a base class using virtual and override, because that is exactly what the last two lessons covered. I will assume nothing beyond that. Here is a method I inherited. It takes a device, and the first four lines are an if, an else if, an else if, and an else. If the device is a TV, do this. If it is a soundbar, do that. If it is a Blu-ray player, do the other thing. It works. Every test passes. And it is one missed branch away from a button that silently does nothing. Because that is exactly what happens. 6 months later, someone adds a fourth device, a smart speaker, and ships it without touching this method, because nothing told them to. Press power on the smart speaker, and this method falls through every branch, matches nothing, and does nothing. No error, no crash. The button just does not work, and nobody finds out until a customer does. Picture a universal remote. Point it at a TV and press power. The TV's own logic decides what powering on means for a TV. Warm up the panel, switch to the last input. Point that exact same remote, the exact same button, at a soundbar, and the TV's logic does not run at all. The soundbar's own logic runs instead. Power on, restore last night's volume. The remote never asks what it is facing. It presses the same button every time and lets the device answer for itself. That is what a base class reference buys you in C#. Once virtual and override are involved. And the technique has a name: polymorphism. One call, power, on a variable typed as the base class, device. The object underneath decides what actually happens, based on what it really is. No if, no else if, no branch to forget. Here's the method from the start of this lesson in full. Device type is an enum, TV, soundbar, Blu-ray player. The method switches on it, one case per device, and every case has to be kept in step by hand with whatever devices actually exist. This is the thing we are about to delete. Device is the base class. Power is marked virtual, which you have seen before. It means a derived class is allowed to supply its own version. The base version here just writes out that the device is toggling power, a safe default for a device nobody has written a real implementation for yet. TV inherits from device and overrides power. Read override the same way you read it in the last lesson. This is not a new method that happens to share a name. It replaces the base version for every TV. When power runs on a TV, this is the code that runs, warming up the panel and switching input. Soundbar does the same thing, with its own behavior. Power on, and restore the volume from last time. Same signature, same keyword. Override. Completely different body. Nothing about TV's version and nothing about soundbar's version has to agree with each other. Only the signature they are both overriding has to match. Now watch the variable type. Device D equals new TV. The object on the right is a TV. The variable on the left is typed as device. Its base class, which is always allowed. A TV is a device. The same is a relationship the last lesson built. Call d.power and C# looks past the variable's declared type, device, to the object's actual type, TV, and runs TV's override. The variable's type decided what you were allowed to write. The object's type decided what actually ran. Run it, and 2 lines print. The TV's line, warming up and switching input, then the soundbar's line, restoring the volume. 2 identical calls, d.power, on 2 variables of the exact same declared type, device, producing 2 different results, because the objects underneath were different. If this is landing, subscribing helps the channel reach more people. Let's keep training. Here's why this matters. And it is not just shorter code. The method that calls power never mentions TV or soundbar or the if chain from the start of this lesson. At all. It takes a device and it calls power on it. Nobody has to remember to come back to it because there is nothing in it that names a specific device to update. Prove it. A fourth device, smart speaker, the exact one that broke the old if chain. It inherits from device, overrides power, and that is the entire change. The method that calls power, the one from block 1, is not opened, not edited, not even recompiled by hand. It already knew how to call power on a device. It just did not know smart speaker existed yet, and it did not need to. Here's the payoff in one place. A list of device holds a TV, a soundbar, and the new smart speaker, 3 different concrete types stored in one collection typed as their shared base class. One for each loop, 4 lines long, reads, for each device called D in devices called D.power. It does not ask what D actually is. It cannot. All it knows is the declared type, device. And it does not need to know, because power on a device always means something, even though what it means is different every time. Run it, and 3 lines print, 1 per device, each one correct. The TV warming up, the soundbar restoring its volume, the smart speaker's own line. The loop that produced all 3 is unchanged from before smart speaker existed, and would be unchanged again if a 5th device shipped tomorrow. Now the other side of this lesson. BluRayPlayer ships, inherits from device the same way TV and soundbar do, and overrides power to spin up the drive at a fixed speed the hardware always runs at. A year later, someone inherits from BluRayPlayer itself to build a variant for a different disk format, and overrides power again on top of the override. It compiles. It also quietly assumes the drive is still spinning at the speed the original BluRayPlayer guaranteed, which this new hardware does not, and nothing in the code says that assumption exists, let alone that it just broke. The fix is one word: sealed. Written on the class, sealed, says this type is finished. It can still be used, still be instantiated, still have power called on it through a device reference exactly as before. What it cannot do anymore is act as a base class for anything else. BluRayPlayer, marked sealed, right before the class keyword. Nothing else about it changes. Same fields, same override, same behavior when power is called on it. The only difference is what the compiler will now refuse to do. Try to inherit from it anyway. Class extended BluRayPlayer, BluRayPlayer. The compiler stops you before the program ever runs. Error CS0509. Cannot derive from sealed type BluRayPlayer. That is not a runtime bug waiting to be found in the field. It is a compile error on the machine of whoever tried it, the same afternoon they tried it. And the sealed version still does everything it did before. Add it to the same listed device from earlier, call power through the loop, and it runs exactly as it always has. Sealed removes one thing, the ability to be a base class. It removes nothing about how the class is used. Seal a class when you know, not suspect, that nothing should ever build on top of it. A type that represents one fixed thing, or one whose internals the next override could quietly break, the way the disk speed assumption did. It also tells the compiler something concrete. Calling a virtual method normally costs one extra step, a lookup to find out which override actually applies. If nothing can override power on a sealed type, there is only ever one answer. So the runtime is free to call it directly and skip that lookup. You are not just documenting the boundary, You are letting the compiler act on it. First mistake. C# does not make every method overridable by default, the way some languages do. Leave virtual off the base method. Write override on the derived one anyway, and the compiler stops you outright because there is nothing marked virtual to override. Leave override off entirely, and C# lets you compile a method with the same name and signature that hides the base version instead of replacing it. With a warning most people never read. Hiding looks identical to overriding right up until you call it through the base type, exactly like the device list from earlier. Call it on the concrete type tv.power, and the derived version runs. Call it through device, the loop's actual situation, and the base version runs instead, silently, because there was never an override, only a same-named method standing next to it. Second mistake. The judgment call rather than the syntax one. Sealing is not free caution. Seal a class a legitimate future variant genuinely needed to extend, and the fix is a breaking change to unseal it later, not a quiet edit. If you are not sure yet whether something should ever be extended, that uncertainty is itself the answer. Leave it unsealed until a real second case argues for locking it. Here's the shape of it. The if, else if from the start of this lesson is gone, replaced by one call, power, on a device reference, answered differently by whatever the reference actually points at, because TV, soundbar, and smart speaker each override it. That is polymorphism. And BluRayPlayer, once it was finished, was sealed, so nothing could quietly build on assumptions it never promised to keep. This week's drill. Take a base class you have written with one virtual method, add a second override, and call it only through the base type, the way the device list did, and watch the same call produce two different results. If this lesson helped you, like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe. Train hard. See you in the dojo.